Write a screenplay Dream Warrior related? You'd rather catch me on fire. Let's not leave our stories untold. Heya, welcome to Creators Lightbulb, the podcast about the indie animation community. I'm your host, Gigi, and in today's episode, I have with me...
Hi, my name is Lauren, or I go by Garden Salad on YouTube.
We're in the works to not only stay inspired, but motivated. So whether you're looking to light your creative spark or struggling to keep that light bulb aflame, we got your back either way. Whether you're multitasking or relaxing, I hope you enjoy your time here. And without further ado, let's begin. Let's start off with our little segment called the light bulb. Every creator has a spark in them somewhere, and we're figuring out how they got started. So yeah, who are you?
Hi. Hey, I feel like I'm talking to hi mom, hi dad. It's great to be here. Hi Randy. Hi Core. Hi man on the street. I'm so excited to be here. Currently people know me as the person that does the silent transmission audio drama. That's not what I've always done on YouTube, but I guess that just depends on how long you've known me.
You've been in this community for who knows how long. And depending on how long someone has known you, they've known you for different stuff. So The main question is basically, how did you get started? How did you find your footing here? What sparked all of the creativity?
Alrighty. So I guess we're going back to the wee beginnings. All right.
Oh, jeez.
Little Lauren was a little kid and was really bad at articulating themselves. I was always a very shy little kid. And I didn't say much, but I really, really liked telling stories. And I had a friend, my next door neighbor, who also really liked telling stories. And one day she pulled me into her house because she knew how to use this thing called the internet, really well. And by really well, I mean, she just knew how to use YouTube. And I think I was maybe 6 or 7 at this point. And she shows me this series called Littlest Pet Shop Popular.
Oh my god. No.
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Yes. And it was literally it was maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes were out. This is how old this is.
Crazy.
And she was showing me this girl made this all by herself. And she was like, we could totally do that. And I was like, hell yeah, we can. And so she helped me set up a YouTube channel when I was 8 years old. Don't do that.
I infer it was not called Garden Salad.
It was not. It was called Fluffy Rocks 00 because as a little child I thought you had to put numbers in your account names for some reason. I don't know why. And my first ever YouTube video, which is now unfortunately deleted, it was called Littlest Pet Shop Castaways. And it was about little guys that got shipwrecked on an island. My friend would come over and she'd bring her collection and we'd collab.
Collab.
Yeah, so she helped me with that series, and then I started doing other series that got more popular.
Oh, there was more than one.
Oh, there was. I was I was a little popular on Littlest Pet Shop YouTube. I'm not gonna lie.
Crazy lore.
I know. I think I got up to before I deleted my YouTube channel because I also changed it to Fluffy's LPS at some point, and I think it reached about 4,000 subscribers before I ditched it, which was so stupid of me.
Why did you delete the channel?
I got embarrassed. I felt like I was. There was also just bad storytelling. You know, when you get you reach an age and you're just I don't want people to find this. There are collabs I did that are still out there on other people's channels.
Crazy.
And there's actually a couple that I did collab with that still do Littlest Pet Shop videos to this day. I've honestly thought about just making a new Littlest Pet Shop channel just for giggles, for the bit.
Aw. Wait, that would be kind of wholesome.
Yeah, I think it would just be more just me showing off my collection. It'd just be more stuff like that. It'd be hey guys, remember this? Fast forward a little bit. 7th grade, I got this cool English teacher who really liked us, wanted to have us write prompts. Every Friday, we basically had a free writing period, and we would write little short stories. And I came up with this character that was supposed to be a horror villain, like a scary monster that was with like everyone in my school was trapped with this scary monster. And she was green, and she was like, she had like an eyeball that was like, had like barbed wire over it. And she was like wolf-like. And she had like electric powers. And her name was Sanity.
Oh. No.
Yeah, and I tried to make a Little's Pet Shop that looked like her.
Oh my god. Did you make custom made ones?
Yes, I started this weird, I started making customs of them.
Ooh, that's when it gets serious.
Mm-hmm. They were not good. They were made with nail polish and like air dry clay, so they fell apart. So I don't have them anymore.
Hey, you make do with what you have.
Yeah, no, like for the community at that point, like there wasn't much customization. So it was kind of,
whoa, pioneer.
I wouldn't say I'm a pioneer. I feel like if I was, I really held back that community for a couple of years. But yeah, so I did that, and I still have some of those old videos on a hard drive. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to do like more drawing with her. I wanted to do like animation, and at that point, I just kind of kept going with the Little's Pet Shops because I didn't feel confident enough in my drawing ability, and I started writing like a book on the side because my 7th grade teacher really got me inspired to start writing. Aww. And I finished that book over the summer, and then I started writing the sequel, which ended up being over 1,000 pages. And then I started writing the sequel to that one.
How?
Because I was insane. That's why. I was like that kid that just like carried around a little journal everywhere with them, and would just like every time that like someone wasn't talking to me, I just pull it out and just write a little something, and someone would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." Yeah, and then I started a second channel because I was going to make this like big movie with my dog as like a secret agent. But then my mom saw the movie, and apparently I accidentally got our license plate in one of the shots, and I couldn't figure out how to blur it, so I couldn't post the movie. So I was like, well, now what am I going to do with this extra YouTube channel? And so I reached it, and then I renamed it to Guardian Productions.
Guardian for
yeah,
the neurons are connecting.
And then at that point, and then I had that channel. I was like, well, now I'll just like draw stuff. So then that's when I started putting like drawing stuff on that channel. And then I got this weird like DM from someone called like Lem the Cat. And they were like, hey, Guardian Productions, I'm making this little show called The Stolen Hope. And I was wondering if you would audition. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I auditioned, and I didn't get a part. I got an extra part later. But that's how I met Alex. And and then I started like, I was like, okay, well, now that I have like almost 2,000 pages of lore on these like monster characters, maybe I can make a little series because everyone else is making series.
Yeah,
why can't I? Yeah. So I started working on that, and then I was in like a chat, like one of those little live stream chats with Lem and like the OG squad, which has a bunch of people that I don't think exist anymore. And someone at some point like mispronounced my username, and instead of Guardian, they thought it was Garden, and they were like the salad. And I'm like, that is so funny. And so that day I just changed my name, and then it's been stuck like that forever.
Oh, so your username's an inside joke.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually hilarious.
I just thought it was funny, and it just kind of stuck, and I'm like, I kind of like this better than what I had, so there you go.
So the current channel, it used to be Guardian Productions.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me how I used to be Emblem Productions, and then I was like, wait, I'm doing voice actor stuff. I don't want to be listed as Productions. Wait, I'll just go by my Google username. And that has stuck. So it's always funny how those kinds of things happen.
Everyone has a production like phase, like an emo phase.
Canonical artist production phase.
Exactly.
What I am really invested in talking about, which you know already because I foreshadowed it to you, is your first ever animated series.
Animated is a strong word, Gigi. Animated is that's a big word for Windows Movie Maker slideshow. But
really carrying that drawn aspect, pictured styled. First drawn series. May you want to discuss that further in detail, mayhaps?
All right, so we know that I was writing the insane writings of a little 13-year-old.
Yes.
And I was like, well, if I want to like promote my books, because I really thought this was going to be like a bestseller in my head. I was like, I'm like the next like Suzanne Collins. We gotta get on this.
No, nothing wrong with dreaming.
Yeah. So I was like, so maybe to promote it, I make like a mini series about like the backstory.
Oh, that was promotion.
Yes. To the actual book series that will come out eventually. So that's what Sandy Origin Stories was, is it was the backstory of the little alien characters that eventually show up on Earth. And it was kind of show how did they get to Earth? Why do they all hate each other? Why is there a soap opera happening in the background? And I put up a casting call, and I actually got a somewhat good. It wasn't as much as like other series because it was kind of a hard pitch, because it's not cats and it's not wolves.
Yeah, might as well just be freaking garbage at that point.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to promote in this community. I also just like I had only done like a little bit, like a couple of map parts, and they weren't like super complicated. Like so it was like my art style for the time was like pretty detailed. Like I did a lot of shading, and I think maybe that's what caught people's eye, is I did a lot more shading than probably the average person. So they're like, oh, she likes lighting and like detail.
How intriguing.
She's really deep and like she likes aliens. She's weird. Okay.
She's not like other girls.
She's not like other girls. So yeah, I got the prologue and I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I started episode 1, and I quickly realized as I was making episode 1 that because I do a lot of shading with my art style I quickly realized my art style was not animator friendly. And it was taking me forever. And it did not help that at that point I did not have a tablet.
What program did you use?
I was using Paint Tool Sai at that time. Part of it was also just me trying to figure out how to change the settings from Japanese to English so I could figure out what I was doing. But yeah, so Paint Tool Sai, mouse, and a dream. And and then at some point, like halfway through, I realized, I had another casting call because I was like, okay, there's going to be new characters for the next episode. And I just realized, oh boy, I kind of already butchered the characters. So I was just like, and then people just kind of started. Also, about halfway through, some of my voice actors, which were also some of the Stolen Hope voice actors, just kind of started disappearing off the internet. So I'm like, well, they're gone. I guess I can't do this anymore. Oh well. It's kind of a blessing in disguise.
And you posted the unfinished version just as you were going to college, I saw in the description. So like,
yeah, I was like, you know what? I'll post it. Just for nostalgia. I
have a few notes on the Sanity origin story that I thought were interesting to bring up.
Okay. Keep in mind, I haven't watched this. I haven't watched it since I uploaded it. So it's been a while.
Maybe this will jog your memory. Someone gets smacked in the middle of the Pure Imagination song from the original Willy Wonka musical, playing in the background. And I thought that was so funny.
Oh, that. Yeah. 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 See, again, a blessing in disguise. Because that was supposed to be one of the good characters. And I'm like, yeah, she would never do that. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my God. Talk about some stellar parenting, jeez. This stuff happens all the time in like younger series in which we tend to like diminish any abusive or violent imagery. And
Yeah.
so like that plus the added soundtrack to Pure Imagination.
The soundtrack, I do not recall.
If I can, I will insert a clip.
Oh, God.
You know what? Why he can't?
Because he's weak. Sorry, Mom.
playing while that moment happens was like, what am I listening to?
What can I say? I'm a creative genius, ahead of my time.
Yeah. Yeah, I briefly skimmed through your redesigning of Sanity characters, and you said a bit that was like, there were 300, and I'm like, God.
Oh yeah. No, when you have over like 3,000 pages of basically an alien soap opera, characters are dropping like flies.
The fact that you said like the alien soap opera, an excuse for me to slowly transition into silent transmission, because like I don't know how many ideas you brought on from Sanity to silent transmission, but like just first off, the writing is just so improved, just kind of naturally with time and like with skills that you've learned. Because like silent transmission, its premise is like very unlike anything I've seen in the community thus far. And I just am curious to how that even sparked.
Okay. Again, another hard pitch for the community. When it's like, is there any cats? There's one cat. Are there any wolves? No. Is it animated? No.
No.
Is there like royalty? Well, kind of. Political intrigue? A little bit. Are the characters animals? No, they're more human-like. I'm sorry to say. And they don't shut up. It's also one of those really funny things. This has happened to me at least 5 times from like 5 different people. Oh. Silent Transmission is one of those shows where like people in the community have heard about it, but they've never actually watched it, and they don't know anything about it. They're like, yeah, I've heard of that. And I'm like, how did you feel about it? And they're like, oh, I didn't watch it. That's happened to me like 5 times. And I'm like,
that's so crazy.
I feel like I'm like Captain Jack Sparrow in that scene where it's like, you are the worst pirate I've ever met. And he's like, but you have heard of me. So, again, a hard pitch. What was the question? Silent Transmission started with one character, and it was Vedette, actually. The character that doesn't speak a lot. And it was going to be her as like a cool bounty hunter on a bike, and she's like this cool alien, and she has this like cool boyfriend that she like visits occasionally. And it was going to be just like this like mini, like she goes on many adventures, and like you learn about, and she's kind of a lone cowboy out in space. and I was talking to my friend Danny, who is my best friend. We met in high school, and I was like, I kind of want to give Vedette some friends, because as much as I love her, she's honestly has not changed that much since her original concoction in my brain. So I was like, she's kind of, I'm not gonna say she's not interesting, but she's kind of almost too brooding, to where it's like, she might not be the greatest character as a protagonist, is what I'm trying to say. I'm like, I think she needs some friends. So instead of like her just being alone, let's make her have a little team. And so I had like these ideas for a couple of characters, and Danny helped me like name a couple of them. And I just kind of, and we were gonna do like a comic. And then at some point, something happened. I don't know. There was this thing called COVID, and I was like, I've been wanting to do a series again, but like actually do it for real this time, like actually make it work. And I was like, I can't do animated or PMV because we already tried that, I say to myself, and that was awful, because I am slow. But what I did remember about Sandy origin stories, and I don't know if maybe you noticed this, I was actually pretty good about the audio editing. I wasn't like great, but like I did that really quickly.
It was really solid. Like, I know I joked about the Pure Imagination soundtrack, but your music balancing was good.
Yeah.
That was solid.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I'm not the best, but like I know how to like make it sound okay. And I do like listening to podcasts, and I really like listening to radio shows. Like when I go on road trips, me and my dad like to listen to old-timey radio shows. Mm-hmm. So I was like, why don't, instead of a comic that might take forever, and also I'm just not confident in my artistic abilities, I'm like, why don't we just do like an audio drama? That's where it started.
Yeah. For those that have said that they were going to watch Silent Transmission and have not yet. Um, calling you all out. Could you give a quick synopsis of the story, please?
So it's about a little guy. Zenthar Spiral is son to the director of the Star Cyclers, a gang of space bikers hired out by the wealthy and desperate to do jobs no one else can. As he reaches adulthood, Zenthar is given his own squadron within the organization called the Red Scales. You gotta join him and his crew, Moray, Kraken, Kali, and Vedette, as they storm the galaxy, meet royalty from far-off planets, fight hive minds, run from cultists, and try to avoid the debris of an ongoing intergalactic resource war. Will Zenthar rise up to be the leader he was destined to be, or will he crumble under the pressure?
Yeah, so space opera. And also like just the character design note, like they're also like visually and colorfully distinct. I'm just like they all have like a color associated with them. I love when that happens. I don't know if that's intentional.
That was intentional, because I knew that I wasn't going to be making like full-blown storyboard. Like, I wasn't going to be making like full art. So with the storyboards, I'm like, well, I need them to be distinct enough that you can like tell them apart. So I'm like, if I just associate each of them with one color, I can just color them as that one color and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's effective. And you've like done so much like world building, I feel like, as it is, at least thus far that I know of. In which like you have like these creatures and these like you just little creatures and designs, and there's humans. Kraken's a human, I know, and like I don't know, that's just so cool. Can you explain your thought process behind like making up these species? Because you had like a little hint of that, like from what we know from like Sanity origin story, and so like I don't know, I feel like that has also very vastly improved a lot.
Yeah, usually. So this is like again, because when I was little, this is going back to like Little's Pet Shop me. I was big into animals. I worked at a vet clinic for a while. I've worked at like doggy daycares. I thought about being a vet for a while. I really like animals. I like weird animal facts. So a lot of my like alien characters are more like, and also my old Sanity characters are kind of just like weird crap I know about animals, and then I just try to incorporate those parts. So usually each of the animal species are each of the alien species are usually either one or two like real life animals, and then I mash them together and put it in a humanoid body. The actual like in universe reason is, have you ever heard of like I don't know the actual word for it off the top of my head, but you know, like crabification, where like a lot of where like crustaceans will they've all like weirdly evolved to like become crab-like. Like they've all evolved to be like, I guess crab is like the perfect evolutionary state is crab.
I feel like I vaguely heard of this, but now that you bring it up, like, yeah.
So in Silent Transmission, it's kind of the crabification with all the species, but like humanoid. So everyone to like understand each other, everyone's kind of slowly evolved to have like human-like features. Because we'll get into it later, but like there's like early Caldo and stuff were a lot more like reptilian and more dragon-like. Caldo are based off of like kind of dragon people. We have the Maestra, which are based off of deer, specifically fawns and bats. We have Rokugado, which they're kind of based off of a mythical creature, like a foo dog, and like the rock. It's like a Chinese guardian lion. They're like made of stone. That's what they're associated with. We have a couple others that I can't talk about. We got the Night Devourers, which I was just like worm. That's a worm. We're hitting all our bases. We got the Chamamites, which are little hobbit cockroaches. We also have, which they are canon to the universe. Back in the day, one of my voice actors made a pilot series of their own called Hyperburgers. And Hyperburgers is one of the best written pilots in this indie animation community.
I have never seen. I will gladly check that out.
It is the best written one. This is not an exaggeration. And when I was making the show and I got that voice actor, I was like, can we add Hyperburgers to this show just as like a thing that exists? And she was like, Yes. And I was like, thank you. So technically all those species also exist canonically in Silent Transmission. I can also just like have Sandy characters pop up in the background because I'm like, yeah, they're aliens. Whatever. They can just be there. I know animals and just make them a little more freaky and you got aliens, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it works. Speaking of little freaks, you probably know where this is going.
Jeez, I wonder.
You've had some, like, we'll say, real world creative experiences thus far. And so, like, I remember using my high school education and, like, current college classes now to, like, figure out how to make not only the Dream Warrior, but this podcast function. And like learning from college techniques that you can apply to like your creative stories. And a little birdie told me you went to a film school.
I did do that.
And you made a thing. Can you please talk about the thing?
Yes. So for my film school, our final assignment was everyone had to write basically a short film, and we basically voted on 4 films to be officially made out of about like 11 to 14 scripts. Well, it wasn't originally supposed to be a selection process, but then we had too many students for the time allotted. So it literally was like, hey guys, even though we're supposed to do all these films, we're actually going to cut some, and it's going to be like Survivor. Jeez. And we're going to have to vote.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
That's a little awful, actually, for everyone.
Yeah, it wasn't great, unfortunately. But I did get picked. My script did get picked. It's called The Id. It is on my YouTube channel. I published it on Halloween. It's about a little demon that gets summoned, and it accidentally breaks into the next door neighbor's house, which happens to be a priest. And as you can imagine, chaos ensues. It's wholesome, maybe, I don't know.
It's mixed.
Mixed opinions on whether or not it is a little wholesome little guy or an actual terror. So the fun thing about it is that he is also a puppet that we had to make on no budget. I made him. I bought all his fabric, cut, and this was the first ever puppet I've ever made. I cut him out, and then I just took all of the fabric cutouts to a local tailor, and I'm like, can you sew this together, please? And he turned out okay. He looks odd in real life, but he works on camera, which is bizarre. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, having seen the film, like, it's the puppet works really well. Like, it's just, I think it's so technically impressive. And also, like, again, in quotes, real world, even though you applied it to, like, a film, like, made in, like, live action, I felt that there was, like, definitely at least knowledge from the YouTube animated series community
absolutely.
In there. Like, I just, like, felt that, like, palpably. And that was, like, really cool, too. Because, I mean, Pet Peeves voices the main character.
Yes, Holly, Pet Peeves, voices Id.
That was incredible. And
he did, let me just say, he did fantastic. We love Holly in this household. I didn't tell everyone what exactly Id's voice was. It was kind of like we were originally going to try to find like an actual child actor for Id, and then that didn't work because no one auditioned, which is a very, very normal thing that happens with things that Garden makes, is people don't audition that Garden makes. So I had to get creative, and by creative, I just walked over to Core, who voices Zenthar, and I was like, Core, please find me someone. Find me someone that can voice my little crackhead demon. And she was like, how about my next door neighbor, Pet Peeves? And I was like, excuse me?
Oh my God.
I was like, just say that again, but slower and sexier for me, please. Yes. And I talked to Holly, and they were a delight to work with. Yeah, that really pulled the whole thing together. And also I had to, and then we also can't. I mean, we have to talk about the priest actor who I also love.
Yeah, he was brilliant too.
Phil was the only person that auditioned.
Oh.
But he was fantastic, and he came in and knew all his lines, and he improvised a little bit, like that part in the movie where he actually suffocates it. That was not part of the script. He just did that in front of us, and we were all losing our, like, we were trying not to laugh. But if you want to talk about like what my YouTube-ness influenced or probably helped that movie, it was definitely the directing side of things and the script writing. I mean, obviously, I know how to write dialogue. I can write dialogue. That's my one thing. That's my one thing I know how to do.
Definitely can. It's good dialogue.
That was the thing that people really liked I think that's why I got picked. For to be one of the short films, is my dialogue was really strong. And then because I have to corral around 18 voice actors sometimes for one episode with like it's like herding cats. I was like, all I have to do is deal with this one in real life actor and then Holly on the side. That went really smoothly. It was more dealing with like camera crew stuff, because live action stuff, man, is very different from like animation stuff. If you can believe it.
Oh yeah, I filmed and directed short films before. That makes it sound a lot more professional than it actually was. It was for school assignments, but I mean,
this was a school assignment too. Like, so
right. Well,
let's not get it twisted.
Anyway, but yeah, no, I understand that entirely. It's just like, I don't know, being in charge of something is crazy. Like, I sound so basic right now, but like, yeah.
No, with the YouTube series where like we have no budget, but like also I'm like, you guys can take a month to send in your lines. Here it was like, we have 3 hours to get this shot. Yeah. And if the equipment fails, it's over. Like, it's done. Mm-hmm. We can't. That's it. And then like with mine, the school gave me a really bad mic. And I didn't realize it was really bad until I got the footage afterwards. And so I basically had to fix all of the dialogue. But yeah, thank goodness I really like working with audio. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I go back to it and I'm like, oh, we could have done so much better. And like sometimes I get a little self-conscious. I'm like, ooh, should I?
Curse of being a creator.
I know. I'm like, I swore I would never do this. I would never be one of those, but I am one of those.
Yeah, that's why director cuts exist. It's so crazy when doing projects in college, because instead, like, I know I put down on our like treatment or like outline doc that's like, oh, stuff you learned from college to stuff that you're doing like right now here on the internet. But for me, it was like, it's like the opposite, where like I take stuff I learned because I did stuff on the internet to apply to college, and it's so weird.
That is so real. I felt a lot of the time, and this sounds so pretentious.
No, go ahead.
A lot of the time during my time at film school, I felt like, there was a couple of us that like, you know, did stuff kind of like, not like YouTube indie animated series, but like there's like other people in my class that I ended up being good friends with that like kind of does stuff like they do movies like for fun. And we all felt a lot of the time that we were like 3 steps ahead between everybody else, and we're having to teach everyone how to do things. People would come to me for questions about audio, and I'm like, bro, crazy. I don't know. Like, I do this on GarageBand. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's so funny. Because, like, oh my God. My spring semester freshman year, so about a year ago now, I like my digital story. It was kind of my digital storytelling class. And our first unit was a podcasting unit, which, go figure, I knew how to do because of Creator's Lightbulb. It was so funny. It was like it's not to say that I didn't learn from it, because I learned like a lot more, and I did like more of an audio drama approach to my mini project that I did. But like, I was like, I'm familiar with like how to approach this, mostly because I've done a podcast before. It was so weird. Same goes for when we did like our like narrative film, which is our third project, and it was like I like again, you learn new techniques such as slating, which I do at the beginning of every podcast episode for the audience, where you like clap to match audio because clapping has a unique spike that you could find easily when you're matching audio to footage or just audio to other audio like I do with Creators Lightbulb. I like have done like a lot of this, but there's always so much more to learn, and I love that part. I love learning in college.
Like my teacher teaching me how to like actually properly like isolate a voice from background music, like background noise, and I'm like, oh, you hear like angelic choir in the background. I'm like, thank you for watering my crops and harvesting this this bountiful feast for me.
So I heard you went to college and majored in
something that has to do with writing, and it is perhaps creative.
Wow. I mean, first of all, I just think it's cool because I told you before that like I'm a creative writing minor. So like, and also the whole thing with screenwriting is really true because I realized also that I really like writing scripts. So I was talking to my professor about like these characters, but because my professor doesn't have an office, we were outside and we were talking, and I was talking to her about the like me being conflicted about a character because I felt like she didn't hold as much weight in the story as much as the other character did, and I feel like I didn't get her yet, and I was saying their names aloud, and then she was echoing their names and said it to me, and I was listening to it, and I was like, you're saying my characters.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, is this a universal experience? Because like for me at least, like everything creative that I did is mostly online exclusive. I talked about be like my creative visions and stories like with the Dream Warrior, and even now like with Creators Lightbulb, to an audience that like got it, and I didn't have to explain that, if that makes sense. And so like, not to say that like my professor isn't creatively indulged, like I'm taking a playwriting class.
There's a different type. I will say
yeah.
If you've like read the stuff that like I publish versus like what I do, they're very different. So yeah, it's less space stuff. There's still animals, a lot of talking, and there's
less of whatever makes silent transmission.
Yeah, a lot less like goof, like a lot of less like stupid humor, and like I hate to like this doesn't make any sense, but like because I have talking animals in my like writing, but it's like it's more grounded in reality, I guess.
No, I completely understand, because speaking just from personal experience with like college, like I don't. If I ever write a screenplay Dream Warrior related, you'd rather catch me on fire. Like, I don't.
Let me say this, Gigi. If I was like in creative writing class and I saw something like the Dream Warrior pop up on my desk, I would just look over and I'd be like, I know what you are. I know what community you're in. I clocked you.
My story, Poems of Aetherport, that I pitched is like entirely different to like everything that I'm known really more on the internet for. It's not only like a visually distinct story, but just like this, like there's no flying cats and like telekinesis and like and 13-year-olds getting in danger very often. Like, yeah. And even then I have a different story idea that like I'm kind of piecing together called The Legend of Crystal Hollow, but like that story idea is like its lifeblood is made from this community.
It's so funny because actually I said I wouldn't talk about this character this much in this podcast, but like Yeast is actually from a short story that I did get published. He's not actually in the short story. The part that got published was actually supposed to be the prologue to like a bigger I was like, let me test this out, and I got it published, but it never really went anywhere. And then I started making Silent Transmission, and I'm like, okay, I need a character to do this. And I'm like, and I was like, I don't want to make a new character. I don't know why. I was just like, I really don't want to make a new. I was like, maybe I can just pull a character that I've already made out of my hat. And I just like looked over at this scrungly little fellow, and I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if this is the guy? Hear me out. Let's put him in space. And now I'm like, and now it's so bizarre because now they're like almost, I wouldn't say they're completely two different characters, but it's like he's evolved so much.
Yeah, but like, like again, does not leave you. I don't know how to stress this point even like further. It just is what it is. But that's what makes it so precious and lovely, and like my heart and soul is like so full from everything, and it's just, yeah. Welcome to our intermission. Feel free to pause the episode for a bit. Drink water, get a snack, take care of yourself. We'll be right back. With that all being said, are you ready for some trivia?
Oh God. Okay. No, actually, you know what? I'm ready. Let me drink some water. Let me hydrate.
Lauren, you're going to be the pioneer for the creator side of our minute and 30 long segments called Flashback Trivia. Welcome to a lightning round on fast facts about your series. For a minute and 30 seconds, how well can you remember stuff about your series under pressure? This is what the research was for. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Silent Transmission debuted when?
Fuck. I think it's like what month or what year?
I have the specific date, but month is okay.
Okay. I think it's either May or July 2022.
No.
Oh shoot. August?
No.
No?
It's summer. You're like there.
Is it June 2022?
It is June 2021.
Okay. Really?
Yes.
No, wait, that does make sense. Never mind. Scratch that.
COVID. June 10th, specifically June 10th, 2021. Number 2, what breed of cat is Yeast?
He's an Oriental Shorthair.
Got it. All right. Number 3, what is the species I played as when I was ear deaf when we were doing the Starship Grenadine TTRPG?
Okay. You weren't a Cowley, you weren't a Banyate, you weren't a Camomite, you weren't a droid, you were no, you weren't a
Hint, I was a
Rokugaddi.
furry.
The jackal species that I cannot pronounce. Okay.
Anurarm. There's 5 more seconds, but I want to get through all of these questions. I might extend this more for 2 minutes because this is way too much. This is way too little for people. But anyway, that goes off. I do want to finish these questions though, because I'm curious now.
All right.
To see if you'll get. All right. Pretend you're still being timed. Thank you for guinea pigging this with me.
No, you're good. You're good.
4, how many songs are in Ara's master playlist as of recording?
Oh, it's over 100.
Definitely.
Is it like 300 at this point?
No, higher.
No. 500?
Yeah. Yeah, it is specifically 535 as of this episode. 6. This is really funny you mentioned this earlier. You're going to laugh at me. Also in the Silent Transmission World document, there is a term that is only accompanied by the description of this sentence. It exists. What is it that exists?
Hyperburgers.
Yeah. I'll be so impressed if you get this one. Last one, 7. As depicted in your sacrilegious PMV, the star cyclers seem to be represented by 5 tarot cards. What are the tarot cards?
Okay. Centaur's the star. Mori's the lovers. I believe Kraken's the chariot.
Yeah.
Frick, the last two. I should know this. No, Yeast is the fool. No, okay. No, Vedette's strength.
Mm-hmm.
And Kali's. Is Kali the hermit?
Yes.
Yes, I did it.
Yeah.
Woo!
Woo! You did it. That was awesome.
I'm so impressed. Though some of those are hard. No, you got me.
I'm glad you got the what breed his cat is Yeast right away.
Well, that's important to his character.
Yes. Moving on to our curiosity Q&A, where we ask questions from Discord members. Sorry, don't know why I tweaked in the middle of that. From Randy, again, thanks Randy. Do you have any major stories to share after Silent Transmission?
After that, I don't know if it'll be as big as Silent Transmission. I do want to try and salvage some parts of Sanity. There's some good cooking stuff in there that I need to like pull out of like the gunk of it. Scrape off some of the with a spatula, just scrape off some of the other stuff. Get rid of like the Cold War symbolism and World War II stuff. Keep Vox. Maybe get rid of maybe 200. Vox. Yeah, maybe get rid of like 200 of the characters.
Perhaps.
Keep the weird, like the fact that like the main story, the original story takes place in Vegas, which is hilarious. I want to do that. There was a D&D campaign that I made a long time ago with some old friends that actually slapped really hard. We never ended up finishing it just because, life got in the way. I would love to reboot it at some time but like polish it and make it better than it was and like make it better. And then there was the story that I did publish the prologue, and it was the story that Yeast was originally in, which is Firehouse Red. I do want to do that, but I don't know if I want to go back to like what I was going to do and make it like a short book, or actually like try to do an animation thing with it, which would be kind of cool. Which that is like a murder mystery with the local police dog and firehouse dog trying to uncover mysteries during the Cold War. There's a lot of Cold War symbolism in my stories. I don't know why.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. I really maybe it just fascinates me. I don't know. Something about like a war that like is like there's not like there's fighting going on in the distance. Maybe it's like it's a reference to like also the times we are in now, where like there's conflict happening, but it's not happening at my doorstep, but it's coming, and it's more of that dread.
Great. Oh, okay.
Wow, that got really real, guys. I'm sorry.
From Randy, how do you get in the zone for writing?
You tell me, Randy.
You sit in a dark room with no sunlight for hours on end with just the glow of a laptop.
Usually what I do is I usually write sections of the dialogue that like I know for sure. I'm like, this is exactly how I want this to go. And then I go back and then I like rewrite everything. And usually I go in order and I basically just write scene by scene. I'm very much like I need to like go with the flow. I can't do things out of order. I usually have like a vague idea. I usually have a point A of the start of the episode and the point B. You have to think of every episode to make a series work and to make sure your audience like doesn't lose the plot, basically, because the way that the indie animation series works is because we don't have like a consistent schedule. I think the big problem is like between episodes, people forget what is happening between episodes.
Yeah, no fault to anyone. It's just kind of the nature of it.
So the way that like you can kind of help combat this a little bit is you have to think of each episode as its own little film. You have to have basically a full arc each episode. Your characters have to go from point A to point B. And if you cut and if you like half that, then your audience isn't gonna like, they're gonna forget things. That's just the way it works. And so usually for each episode, I have a point A and a point B. And usually that's pretty easy for me to like just go with the flow. And that also helps a lot with dialogue if I write it in order. Either A, I write parts that I know I want and then I go back. B, I write a giant plot synopsis and then I go off of that. Or C, I just brute force it. We just got to brute force our way through it.
Yeah. From Randy, you get the power to bring any character of yours you want to live with you IRL, but they're pulled out of the story and don't exist in it anymore. Which one are you choosing?
I actually thought a lot about this question. No, I did, because the hard part about this question is when you pull one of the characters out, that affects all their relationships. So it's like, well, if I pull Ara out, well then Vedette is missing her boo. I'm like, and we can't have that. That's the problem for a couple of the characters where I'm like, well, spoilers, but there are other romantic relationships that happen, and I'm like, well, we can't pull this character out, and we can't pull this one out.
Funnily enough, my first thought was yeast because you technically
have
yeah, but like yeast in like silent transmission form might kill us all.
He might be too much. He might just kill me. No,
Wait a second. Sorry, if he would kill you and you created him, would that make the paradox or the solution to his
issue? Maybe, actually. Wait, hold on. I don't know. But I thought basically kind of on the same path, not exactly, but I was like, what is a character that their life would greatly improve if they were not in the story, even at the detriment of others? And I think I have decided, and this is a character from episode 9, I'm pulling Grace out, and she's living with me, and we're gonna take her to therapy first. We're gonna get her medicated. Therapy. I'm gonna take her to the Hard Rock Cafe. I'm gonna blow her mind. We're gonna teach her guitar. We're gonna replace her axe with like a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna be my really cool roommate. And
Yay!
Sorry, I think actually getting rid of Grace might actually help Yeast. So actually, we solved the problem, everyone. We saved the city.
From Randy, what are your biggest artistic inspirations for anything like writing, art, voice acting, etc.?
When I was little, the movies that I was obsessed with was Willy Wonka, as you saw from Sanity. I'm still obsessed with Willy Wonka. All iterations of Willy Wonka, I love. It's so messed up. It's so bizarre. I also really liked Lady and the Tramp. That was my favorite Disney movie as a child. I would rewatch that over and over. I really liked the pacing of Lady and the Tramp. I liked the kind of weird low stakes, which I think is kind of the other half of Silent Trip. The space comedy, when it's mostly just the main cast, is just kind of the low stakes, kind of just like them just talking to each other, just kind of vibing. And just the style of animation at that time. Chef's kiss.
I miss 2D animation.
Oh, it's so good. Now, animators in the community, back in the day, because I've been here forever, I really liked someone called Ice Arts, which is still around. They did Falling Skies. They still do animation. They do like professional animation now. They had a very famous character called Him, which is a dragon. There was someone called Ernem7. I loved Ernem7. They did a couple. They had like actually like alien stuff, which I really liked. But they're more known for their Warrior Cat AMVs.
Yeah, naturally.
They did like Dim Star's Light also. Very, very interesting style. I really liked them. They kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. I hope they're okay. Obviously, you know what? As friends, I'm gonna say it. I like Golem Tito stuff. You can probably tell there's a little bit of influence. I feel like we went back and forth a little bit with the influence. Yeah. I like Dark Yard recently. I've been really into Dark Yard. They have there's a very specific map part that they did. This is a really I'm like, I really want you to animate Yeast one day. If Silent Transmission became like an anime show, I'm like, please be on my team. Please just animate Yeast for me, please. I really like, there was Night Riser for a while, which Night Riser, everyone knows, is like the one that has Disney style. Core, my voice actor for Zenthard, Hyperburgers inspired me a lot. I love Hyperburgers. I'm gonna plug it again, even though it doesn't exist anymore. I love Hyperburgers. Go watch
it's not out into the world?
No, it's still there. The pilot is up. It's just like like the show, like it never went anywhere, and it makes me so sad. Happy, we love Happy. I love Happy stuff. We love Towpath. I love Towpath. That was a comfort. Thank you, Towpath. Blaze the Fire Dragon. They're like Fire and the Phoenix, of course. Let's see. Pet peeves, obviously. We love pet peeves. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Oh, you, of course. You, Silver.
Oh. Wait, what?
We love Creator's Lightbulb. It kept me going through college. Please. I listened to it on the bus.
Thank you. It's people like you that inspire me back, so I'm glad the cycle flows.
Thank you. Oh, also, like, I really like the Twilight Zone. That's like an old. That's not like an indie thing. That's like a real show.
No, I know. I know the Twilight Zone. Never watched, but I've heard it's absurd.
It is absurd, but like in a beautiful way. I love Dracula. Dracula, the book, is hilarious. I love Dracula. It is my favorite monster book. Yeah, it's great. Suzanne Collins, let's see, Key Johnson, At the Mouth of the River of Bees is my favorite short story collection. I'd like to shout out my mom and my dad. My sister actually is a really big inspiration. She is the voice of Kraken. Having a family member be one of your voice actors is actually very fun. Yeah, my friend Danny. My friend Danny has her own comic. She has a comic that she's writing. The prologue is out, called Falling Leaves. It is an alien world that is based on DNA. And a indie comic series that's not in this community, but I will shout it out because I love it. Kind of like Silent Transmission, where it's like space stuff. Hyperdriven is really, really good. There is hardly any fan base for it, and it is criminal that there is no fan base because it is one of the best written comics I've ever read, and one of the main characters is an anthropomorphic stick of broccoli.
If I had a nickel for 2 core inspirations that contain the word hypher in them for you, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot,
but it's weird to happen.
It's weird to happen twice. I don't know how to phrase this, but I so desperately want us to be bolder. And it's like, guys, like, I love all of the cat and wolf pack stories make us who we are, right? That is not like a denial or a dismissal of that. But like, let me have my weird aliens in space. Oh my gosh, I feel like we mentioned Emma a lot of times already, but like,
let me have rats in the sewer.
Let me have detective rats in the sewers. And like, it's these kinds of things though that like, pioneer is such like a very strong word, but I don't know what else to word it. And to be honest, I'm probably right on it, of like taking that first step to show that like, at least in my eyes, the community embraces this absurdity, right? And like, already Wolfpack stories and cat stories were already like very not conventional. Like, you're not going to see that like in a animated show on TV.
And I want to say, for the record, there's nothing wrong with cat and wolf stories. I love cat and wolf stories. Keep making them, guys. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it is hard for me to pitch to an audience that wants cat and wolf series. Would you instead like a character that is cat presenting, surrounded by a bunch of aliens that are humans?
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because again, stressing the point that this is not to demean on the cats and Wolfpack stories. Like, that is not the point. All creativity is embraced, at least on my end. And here on Creator's Lightbulb, everything is embraced. It's just, I love that breath of fresh air.
I will also say it also helps with casting, weirdly enough. Part of the reason that I got even though actually I did not get that many auditions for Silent Transmission. Silent Transmission almost didn't happen because I almost did not have enough people auditioning the first round. But the reason why I got, honestly, such good voice actors is because my show was so weird and bizarre and not what they were used to that they were all like, okay. They were like, we have to kind of see this one. We got to see this one out. Because Core, for example, had never heard of me, which is criminal because I loved Hyperburgers. And I drew Hyperburger fan art. Okay. And I DM'd them and I was like, hey, audition for my series. Which, by the way, Core needs to audition for more stuff because Core's voice. A lot of my voice actors, I'm like, criminal that they are not in more stuff because they're the best. I'll say it. I'm controversial. I'll say it. I have the best voice actors.
Let's go.
Yeah. Come at me. I was like, audition for my series. And apparently they just like looked at because usually they most voice actors, they ignore those kind of messages because, but they looked at my casting call and they're like, oh, these guys are weird. Oh, they're not. Oh, they're like people. Oh, they're in space. And even Randy, who loves like voicing like animals, like that's his thing. Randy was like, I kind of want to do this because R is a weird little guy.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Specifically with the messages of like, please voice act for my series. I think it's at this point expected for them to expect Wolfpack A rivals Wolfpack B, and they're fighting over territory, or like
there's also two other Wolfpacks, and they once a month go to the big cave to talk about politics. Yeah.
And just like, again, nothing wrong with these Wolf series. I voice act in like Wolf series. I'm excited for these Wolf series. And like, God, I feel like the more I say, the more false it's gonna sound to the audience. But I promise I love them too.
Some of my favorites are the Wolf series. Like Blood Brothers, loved that. That was great.
Quick promotion for like Thrones the reboot. I'm so excited for it. Even if I didn't voice act in it, I'm so excited.
I'm so interested to see what's gonna be different. I'm so curious.
Besides the point, I just want more plethora of things, please. Lauren, I'm just happy about your space opera.
I hate that. Okay, also hot take. Dandy Comp was the best series that ever came out of this community. I'm gonna say it, hot take. I'm gonna walk out this door now. Hot take. Goodbye. Anyways, moving on. Next question. Before I get pitchforked and mobbed out of here.
This one was just funny to me. From Core, why?
You know why. That's all I'm gonna say.
Moving on from Dapper. From Dapper Burger, what would you say is the hardest part of making a show like Silent Transmission?
I will say it is a lack of budget, which is weird to say, but it is because I can't force people to. It's like I'm doing this all by myself, and I can't force my voice actors to actually turn in their lines. I'm not paying them. So this is community theater. What this community is community theater, and sometimes people just leave the theater. And for an audio drama, that's really bad because their voices are the characters. There's no like drawing that helps. Like if one of my voice actors dropped, like one of the main characters, that's kind of it for me. And that's really bad. So it's the fact that like, I love doing like table reads and stuff, but also like but because I don't pay people, I can't force people to like show up to stuff. It is mostly just, I want there to be like, I would love a crew. I would love actually doing like, having actually like visuals and like animated stuff. I would love directing. I actually love directing. You've seen like I have commissioned like PMVs of stuff, with Happy did one, Lemon Jingles. I love the way Lemon Jingle draws my characters, all of my characters, not even like Silent Transmission ones. I would love to have like a team like that, but I feel really bad not paying people, and that really sucks. I feel terrible not paying my voice actors, but it's like a mutual like I make fun thing for free. And you guys give me lines for free, and it's mutual. And I've also, I have spent an ungodly amount of money making plushies for them and sending them stuff. So I've actually lost money on this show, if you can believe it.
Oh my god.
I'm losing money. But it's a labor of love.
There have been, as we joked, people drop off the face of the internet earth, but everyone is entitled to live their real lives.
Exactly. Like that's also like
so
the thing,
like
it's
we can't. They're not like. There's no fault to them. It
No.
happens.
It just happens. And I'm like, it's more of like I'm just like I hope they're doing good. I hope they're
Yeah.
okay, and I hope they're thriving, and I hope they found what makes them happy, and I hope they're living their best life. I don't know. I've also just like a couple of them. I'm pretty sure they're never gonna leave, just because I've also just made like they're just a really good friend now. You know,
Yeah.
like some of them I've met in real life, so it's like yeah, we're buddies.
Yeah. It's so lovely when casts like become friends, and then therefore it becomes more than just you're here because you were casted.
Yeah.
Like I want you here. We talked about a lot of stuff, so this might cause your mind to shuffle for a little bit.
Mhm.
But this segment is called Flip the Switch. What's your advice for the community to hear?
Okay, I do have some advice actually. You know, as an old geezer.
As a veteran.
For my series creators out there, audio wise, put room tone in the background
Oh my god.
of your scenes.
Wait, that's so real.
Okay. And if you don't, okay, for people that don't know what room tone is, every room, even if you don't really actually hear it, all rooms have sound. And when you put room tone in the back of your audio, what happens is even if your voice actors might have like slight differences in microphones, it starts to kind of make it so it's not as noticeable. Because when you have two characters with very different microphones, it's very noticeable when there's nothing but those mics. This also, you might also know this as like ambiance, like outside like nature sounds. But like you don't do this just for nature and just for like cave. You have to do this also for rooms. And if you're like, well, how do I make room tone? Literally take your little iPhones out, little guys. Take them out. Just record like 5 seconds of in-room audio on that little voice recorder you got on your iPhone. Okay, everybody? Just put that on a loop. Put that in the background. Adjust maybe the volume, and you're golden. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do, guys. I'm begging you. Mm-hmm. Please. That's all I need from you.
The world is never silent, which is why your tagline is so freaking good.
Space is the only place where there should be no sound, guys. If you're not in space, put some sound. And I know you're like, oh, it's because you're the sound person. You're like the audio drum person. I'm like, no. Sound is just as important as the visuals, guys. I know some of you don't believe me, but it's true. There's a reason why the voice actor community is so big, because sound is so important. The way voices mingle with each other. The flavors. I'm like Remy the rat, but instead of like food, I'm talking about sound, okay? The way the sound, the pacing, maybe one day I'll make a tutorial about how to like properly pace voices when you're talking. People talk over each other. Do not like don't put weird long spaces between people talking. The more close, actually, probably the better. Because people talk over each other naturally. Make your own sound effects. In the episode 6, yes, episode 6, there is a scene where it's the one that actually Happy animated. It is the one where Zenthar and Kali have a fight, and they start basically having a sibling fight where they just start slapping each other. I made that. I slapped myself repeatedly in the face.
Oh my god.
For like 20 seconds.
Jeez.
I just made that sound because I realized I was not going to get that organic sound that I needed.
I mean, I'm one to react with like hitting yourself as a way to make your own sound effects, when in episode 1 I'm completely guilty of the fact I made my own sound effect of Astra falling to the floor by by putting the mic on the floor and just like making myself
ingenuity
flop over.
is what we need.
I made myself flop over in hardwood floor, and yes, did it hurt? Absolutely. Was it worth it though? Yes, because you can't find that kind of sound effect naturally, at least in a free platform.
Mm-hmm. For the episode 7, when they're in like that giant like rave party thing that's like going on throughout the entire colony, I'm like, I need really big, like crazy, like city sounds. and there wasn't like a really good one. So what I did is I drove like 30 minutes to Nashville. I'm close to Nashville. That's where I live. And I went down to Broadway and I just pressed record and it peaked the mic the entire time. But boy, howdy, does the audio sound really good in that episode. Because it sounds like you're in the middle of Nashville. Getting crunked. Focus on your audio, guys. Audios is really, and if you guys don't like audio, I know a lot of you don't like audio because a lot of you are visual, right? You're a lot of artists.
And also sometimes it can get uncomfortable if you have misophonia.
Yeah, one of my worst things is when there's like running scenes and I have to listen to my voice actors grunt for like 3 minutes. But like, I could promise you there are people in this community that love audio editing. There's a few of us, but we're there.
We're rare, we're few, but we're here.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure we'd be happy to help you out. We'd be happy to help you out, baby girls. Because it is if you want to do an anime, if you want to do a series, it is just as important as the visuals. That was going to be my other thing of advice: is play to your strengths. Which I know this community is great for like experimenting, like do a bunch of experimenting. A lot of my show is literally me throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like for example, episode 7, where I just was like, let's do like a mini PMV part of the series. Let's just change it's no longer an audio drama for like 1 minute. Because I felt like it and I thought it would be cool. That's what this series, that's what this is for. But I also think if you want to like make something that like is consistently like you think like it is consistently good throughout the whole thing, play to your strengths. Sanity series, I learned quickly that, I have improved as an artist, but I am still very self-conscious about my art, and I don't think my art is really my strong suit, honestly. And I can't, and also because I know for a fact, and people have told me, and they're just being honest, and my art style is not animation friendly. That's not my strength. So I stuck to audio because I realized that I could do it quickly, and I was weirdly good at it, even though I was really bad at band class. And I was like, I'm bad musically, but I'm kind of good at, I know what sounds good. I'll know it when I hear it. And because I was also just really, because back in the day, I was really picky about animated series. I'm like, this needs to sound better. I bet I could do this. So I played to my audio, and when I feel like I can do a PMV, I can, do little mini things like that like actually make it kind of pop in a weird way. Thing is, I am really good at writing dialogue, which is actually a thing that a lot of even professional writers actually really struggle with. And for some reason, I am actually okay at writing. I can actually write dialogue. That's like, I'm not trying to brag, but like that is like, I think that is my one strength as a writer. I think I have a lot of weak spots when it comes to writing, but that's how I got my degree, was my weird dialogue. So that's why my characters don't shut up, and it's more, the action is really just like them talking. A lot of how you figure out the story is them like explaining what is happening. There's actually, even though it's actually like a space opera, there's not a ton of action until recently. That's also part of the reason why these recent episodes are taking so long, because there's more action, and I'm like, trying to make sure that works, and it's okay. If directing is something that like, if you are naturally shy, I have learned that I am actually okay at directing, which is weird. I shouldn't be. But I actually like directing. Maybe like a series isn't for you. Maybe something closer to a comic. There's nothing wrong with a lot of really good comics have recently come out in this community recently. A lot of really good ones.
As my good friend Soul said on episode 1, there is no wrong way to tell a story.
I wrote like 3,000 pages of a story I never finished. So
let's not leave our stories untold.
Yeah, exactly.
So find what works.
Find what works.
Your story is worth sharing, we promise.
Another advice, if you are going to do an animated series or an audio drama, or, something that involves you having to like have a crew, talk to your crew. That is the best thing. Don't like, as much as I like, back in the day also it was really common just back in the day, just like send people lines and then like never talk to them. Just like send the lines, they send them back, and then you have no communication. A lot of the reason why silent transmission works is we have every episode we have a table read, and we go around and we all read through the whole script, and I basically give them direction. Not only that, I also allow them to improv a little bit, and sometimes that improv makes it into the actual episode. It makes it into the script. and that really helps the characters come to life. And also me talking with my voice actors. Not only have I made friends and like I've actually made connections, and like that's how I found Holly to voice Id. I also, as I, you know, for like a show thing, as you talk to your like voice actors more, you realize you can kind of like predict when you're writing the script how they're going to actually do different inflections. I've actually changed, for example, the way I write Moray is wildly different than the way I wrote him in the first episode, because as I've talked to Ollie and like the way I've like in the table reads, now I can kind of predict how he's going to like say certain things. So I change it and I like anticipate how he's going to say things.
That's crazy, actually, but that's so cool.
And then I can also figure out like which character, like which voice actors will find certain things funny and which will like who will get the bit, kind of like with Randy, I give him a lot of crazy weird stuff to say and I know he's gonna love it. Or I've learned more about Core and we basically, Core is like my big editor and like we josh off of each other. You know, my sister, I do the recordings with her and we just have a grand old time, and I think it also just makes the voices more lively. And I think that's part of the reason why there's a lot more like energy in silent transmission sometimes, because the dialogue is literally just everyone in a Discord call going at each other, and it's beautiful and I love them all. And you just getting to have a community within your own cast is beautiful. Yeah. And then when they don't turn in their lines, you don't feel as bad when you just like hound them and just spam them with pictures of your face mad. Because then you know each other well enough that you can do that and get away with it.
God, that's so wholesome.
I love my cast. I love my little babies.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creators Lightbulb, hosted by Gigi and today's guest, Garden Salad. I'm looking forward to everything that you're doing. Maybe episode 9 will be released by then. Also glad I got to geek out about audio with you. It was great. Dear listener, yes you, I hope you found what you were looking for and enjoyed our discussion. If you did, please stick around for more. Subscribe and stay alert for the next episode by following Creators Lightbulb on Instagram, Blue Sky, that's new, and literally wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Gigi Silver Emblem. Garden Salad, can you please plug?
Right. So I am Garden Salad on YouTube. I have _Garden Salad _ on Instagram. Garden S Works on Twitter. ST Audio Drama also on Twitter. You can also listen to Silent Transmission on Spotify. I also have a Kara account. I don't know if anyone uses Kara, but I have that. Just look up Garden Salad. I'm on Discord, but I won't friend you unless I like you. Unless we're friends. Unless you're cool. But yeah.
All right, everybody. I think that's it. I hope you have a good day. Create and ignite. Remember to stay bright.